It says I'm live. Great, I'm live. Hey, everybody. Thanks for making me a part of your Monday morning. Let me make sure the stream's up and running here. Okay, it's working here. Yes, okay, good. On Rumble, checking X. See, I ended up doing a 2 hour broadcast last week, and for the first hour of it, I was unaware that it was not streaming on Rumble correctly until somebody alerted me in the comments. Okay, so I'm now I make sure. Yes, it's up on Rumble. Great. Okay, so hi, it's Monday. Wow, September has been a very busy month, and something that I've been waiting for a long time is finally starting to happen. We're starting to see arrests. Yes, James Comey has been indicted. It has happened. When you have a log jam, that's the best way to describe this. This is an analogy, okay? A log jam. There's always one particular log. If you pull that out of the way, the whole thing just, collapses. Then the water starts flowing, okay? And people who've studied Spygate for a long time saying the first log, the one you need to pull out of the way so that everything else collapses, is James Comey. That's the guy. And it happened last week. And I've been talking about how I've been maintaining a holding pattern, waiting for Spygate to come back round the bend. And I always knew it was going to. And now we're there, and the first indictment has been unsealed. Showing the future direction and shit. So let's talk about it here on Dangerous. What coffee with Brian Cates? Yes. I'm dangerous. The more coffee I drink, the more I wake up, the more dangerous I get. Yes. Dangerous with coffee. And all of the burbling you hear from the political pundit class, like, say, Andy McCarthy, who I've seen on my TV several times recently, trying to downplay this, trying to say, that this indictment should not have been brought. This is a weak indictment. There's nothing here. The chattering classes on your TV who were telling you, there's really something to this Mar-a-Lago raid. Trump's really done something wrong now. Trump fully deserves this, not just Trump, but anybody else that was targeted. These January 6ers now, okay, they really deserve this. Roger Stone, that annoying prick, really deserved to get raided by 29 or whatever it was fully armed tactical gear FBI people at 6 a.m. in the morning. Like they were raiding El Chapo. He deserved that. The same chattering classes on your TV have carefully analyzed this James Comey indictment. And now they're going, hump, and they're all pontificating to you on their other various programs. Andy McCarthy's on Fox News. Andrew Weissman's on NBC News. They dragged. They're probably going to get Peter Strzok before on going back on NBC News. Andy McCabe. They bring these people out here to be their legal analysts. And, John Brennan on Sunday morning. Oh, this is a terribly weak indictment. This should never have been brought. It's amazing watching this president weaponize the Department of Justice to go after his political enemies. This sort of thing should never be allowed to happen. Man, do we live in interesting times. We live in interesting times, man. Look, it's been known since 2017. How long ago was 2017? How long ago was that? That was 8 years. I mean, 2025. 2017 was 8 years ago. Everybody knew 8 years ago James Comey lied his ass off, that he literally lied to everybody. He lied in front of Congress. He lied to the media. He lied to President Trump. It's one of the big. Why did he end up getting fired? He was lying to President Trump about all kinds of shit. Still Dacia, the spying. He lied about all of it. People have known since 2017 this guy was lying about a lot of stuff. The arrogant prick even engineered a situation when Trump fired his ass from the FBI, as FBI director. He deliberately engineered a situation where he took 7 work papers, memos, with him from FBI headquarters when he was fired. He took them home with him, even though 4 of those 7 memos contained classified information. Did you know that when he was director of the FBI, James Comey prosecuted people for doing that kind of thing? It's true. Anybody remember a certain guy named General David Petraeus? Does that name ring any bells? That was the sitting CIA director at the time under Obama. Wrote down some notes containing classified information, took them out of a secure CIA facility, took them home with him. His home was not a secure facility. While he was at home, he showed those notes containing that classified information to his girlfriend, or his mistress, you could say. He was married. This lady started out as a biographer for Petraeus, but they started getting a little something on the side, and they became lovers. So Paula Broadwell became David Petraeus, a sitting CIA director now, having an affair. She's now his mistress, and he shows her these handwritten notes containing this classified information outside of a secure SIF. And when he was caught, David Petraeus attempted to argue, oh, these were personal work papers. I had every right to take them home with me and show them to whoever I wanted to show them to. He tried this argument in court, you know. After it was exposed, it was revealed he'd done this. He was fired as CIA director. He was indicted under Obama. He was indicted. He was arrested. He was arraigned. He pleaded not guilty. They had a trial. He tried a defense. Just posting on work papers. He was convicted. Had one of his stars removed. Was forced to pay a fine, $200,000 or whatever it was. Even though Paula Broadwell had a security clearance, she did, to be his biographer, you know. He had a security clearance. David Petraeus exposed classified information by taking it out of a secure facility where it was secured. Took it home. He exposed it. The fact she had a security clearance didn't matter. He showed it to her in a non-secure location. That is a federal felony. Did you know that? Well, it's true. Go research the David Petraeus case. It's like somebody wanted to provide a perfect template for prosecuting James Comey for exposing classified information and leaking it to the press. I mean, the only difference here is David Petraeus showed it to one person, his mistress, his biographer. He was tried, he was indicted, tried, and we've known since 2017 what Comey did. He took 7 memos with him after Trump fired his ass from the FBI. He took 7 memos home with him. He gave 4 of those 7 memos. And remember, 4 out of the 7, 4 are classified. They contain classified information. He gives 4 of the 7 memos to his friend, Professor Daniel Richman, I believe his name is. Don't quote me on his first name. I'm trying to remember what his first name is. Professor Richman, I'll call him, okay. 4 of the memos are classified. He gives 4 memos to Richman. Now, even if you assume that the 3 non-classified memos were part of that 4 that Richman was handed by James Comey outside of a secure facility, what if even if 3 of those memos were not classified, one of them was. At least one of those 4 memos Professor Richman got was classified at the time. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. When he wants to be called in front of, don't think for a second Comey didn't know this would happen. When he wants to be called in front of Congress so he can demand loudly in front of the entire country on television, demand the appointment of a special counsel to investigate this fucking president, okay? James Comey asked his friend, Professor Richman, to leak excerpts from one of the memos to a New York Times reporter. Hey, Rich, can you leak one of these memos for me? Can you handle that for me? Can you take these certain quotes from one of those memos I gave you and make sure it gets to Adam Goldman? I think it was Adam Goldman of the New York Times. Can you do that for me, buddy? Thanks. So Adam Witzman or whatever his name is. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I can't believe I can't remember this guy's name. Give me a second. James Comey, Professor Richman. Daniel Richman. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. For a second, I could not remember this guy's freaking name. Daniel Richman, okay, Professor Daniel Richman of one of those big highfalutin universities. Columbia, right? He's a professor at Columbia, all right? Comey takes 7 memos with him, 4 classified. He gives 4 memos to Richman. He tells Richmond to take excerpts from one of those memos, leak it to the New York Times for him. Then he knew what was going to happen. Everybody would know it was him. Richmond, when Richmond was asked, Richmond didn't play court. Yeah, he called me, asked me to do this. Yeah, sure, man. Help a buddy out, no problem. Help a brother out. Comey knew what would happen. He would be called in front of the United States Congress. He would be called in front of the United States Congress, front and center. Explain yourself. Why did you do this? Why did you take these memos with you? After you were fired, why did you take memos you weren't allowed to have? Why did you take them with you? And why did you link one of them to your professor friend so he could give it to the New York Times? Why did you do that? You think Comey didn't know that would happen? Oh, I assure you, he knew exactly what would happen. And it did happen. And he sat there in front of the country, live on television, proudly bragging about what he did. Well, these were personal, now listen to what he said. These were personal work papers. I had every right to take these personal work papers with me. I could give them to whoever I wanted. So he explained the setup. He set this up so he could say, and he knows how bad it looks, but the threat of this president, of having a Russian, a president who's been credibly accused now of being a Russian agent, this real and clear present danger to the United States of America must be thoroughly investigated. Well, this allegation, okay, he says the allegation needs to be thoroughly investigated. He didn't come out and say, 100% this president's a Russian agent. No. He says, but this threat rises to the point. This allegation rises to the point. It must be thoroughly investigated. I'm just doing my job, man. Noble public servant. There's a credible allegation here. And I was just trying to do my job and investigate this credible threat that Donald J. Trump might be a Russian agent. I was doing my job, man. And I got fired for doing my job. So I took these work papers with me, and I gave 4 of them to my friend, and I had him leaked to the New York Times, because this is serious, man. This cannot be ignored. There must be a special counsel. There must be a special counsel. Look at me having to sit here in front of you. Yeah, okay, I shouldn't have done that. But look, this is serious, man. You're watching a dedicated public servant admitting he leaked FBI papers to the New York Times. Why would I do that? It's serious. Somebody better investigate this. And now that I can't do it any longer as the director of the FBI, since Trump fired my ass, this country needs the appointment of a special counsel to investigate the collusion allegations. And it's up to you, members of Congress, to do this, to call for this. Join me in calling for a special counsel. Oh, yeah, every single freaking Democrat and some of the Republicans on that committee. Yeah, we need a special counsel. And we got one. We got one for 2.5 years, almost 2.5 years. We got one. Oh, Bob Mueller. But look, everybody knows what Comey did. That he's been lying his ass off since 2017. Everybody knows. It's not a secret. There's somebody like me who's covered Spygate since 2017. We know what the stories were that Comey was telling. Comey struck McCabe. He's the page. We never heard Joe Pienka's side of it because they ghosted that motherfucker so fast. We never got to hear his explanation for what went on. But all these other people involved in this, James Baker, yeah, I mean, we got to hear them coming out and talking about what was happening from their perspective and how it was all those stories turned out to be bullshit. Evidence has kept emerging for the last 8 years, showing Comey lied, McCabe lied, Strzok, Page, Baker, they all lied. The only reason Pianka didn't have to tell any lies is they ghosted that son of a bitch so fast he disappeared. It's not exactly a secret to anybody that James Comey has lied extensively under oath repeatedly since 2017. That's not the mystery here. We want to dig into this. The issue that you have to look at is, why did it take 8 years for somebody to indict him for lies he's obviously been telling for going on 8 years now? Why was he just indicted, beating the deadline supposedly? I hear people keep saying, well, the deadline was this week, Tuesday, tomorrow, in fact. The deadline to indict him for the perjury he obviously did when he was questioned in 2020. The deadline is this Tuesday, Tuesday, September 30, 2025. The deadline is arriving, and that Seabrook guy was slow walking it. And so Trump swapped him out of there and put Lindsey Halligan in there. And obviously we get this indictment just under the wire, man. We got the indictment slipped in there just under the wire. They were trying to run the clock out. All of a sudden, Trump woke up. That clueless Trump guy, he never understands the first fucking thing about what's going on. All of a sudden, Trump woke up. Oh, it's time to swap him out here. Why did it take 8 years? If the guy's obviously been lying under oath, why did it take 8 years? Okay, well, I'll keep telling people this. A lot of them don't want to believe it. But it's true. If you had charged Comey for lies he was telling back in 2017, you charged him in 2019, you charged him in 2020, you charged him in 2022, you charged him in 2024. That case was going no fucking where. Doesn't matter what the evidence showed. You were not going to get a conviction. People disagree with me about this. I don't give a shit. should have tried to meet years ago. Just like people tell me, okay, I try to explain obvious, commonsensical things, but emotionally they can't accept it. Take the stolen election of 2020. Do I think that election was stolen? Yes. But did I agree with all the people saying Trump shouldn't leave? He should send in the military, roll the tanks into Washington, D.C. Plant your ass in that Oval Office and say, I am not fucking leaving until I am declared the winner of this election. I have to tell people. Okay. The same people at the time as Trump was having to wave and climb into that helicopter and leave the White House. He's a pussy. Donald Trump, the pussy. Guy's got no balls. Lost his nose. He abandoned us. He abandoned the country. Fuck him. They don't want to hear this. But if Trump had done what you wanted him to do back in November and December and January of 2021, done what you wanted him to do, very likely be dead right now. And MAGA would be gone. Would have absolutely destroyed himself if he'd done what you wanted him to do back in January of 2021. Sorry, I know people did not want to hear that. Sorry. Well, it's like this too. You know, on the one hand, people don't want to accept Trump did the right thing by leaving and not using the military or force to try to stay in office. He did the right thing. That's one hand. Here's the other hand. You charged James Comey, even though the evidence kept building, even during the Biden Garland years, more evidence kept coming out. Durham didn't finally shut down until I think early 2023. More evidence kept coming out about the grand conspiracy, okay? On the other hand, people don't want to hear. You charged this early. You charged this before Trump and Bondi and Cass think they've got the DOJ and the FBI repaired enough that they think they can make this stick. Okay, if you go early and you hit the go button in 2019 or 2020, that case was going no fucking where. It would go nowhere. Trump didn't have control, even though normally he's got his guy, Chris Wray, in charge of. You think Trump had real functional control of the FBI? Oh, wait. Do you think Trump had control of the FBI from 2017 to 2021? Do you think he had functional control of the DOJ, FBI, all these different alphabet soup agencies that were chock filled to the gills with saboteurs and people that were working against him? Do you think he had control? Then what the fuck do you mean? Prosecute Comey back in 2019. What are you talking about? You think Trump is interested in failure? We'll do the prosecution and we'll watch it fail. But gotta do it now. You think Trump is interested in trying people when he knows they'll work? Is that what you think? You think he's interested in watching them walk away? Well, no, he's not interested in that. Trump is interested in fucking destroying these people for all time. But to do that, You got to be patient. And you can't go before the time is right. You can't go. And emotionally, many people cannot accept this. They can't accept it. I want justice. I want it right the fuck now. I don't give a shit if it works or not. I don't give a shit if they get convicted or not. Yes, yes. Intellectually, I am aware. The courts are corrupt. The FBI is corrupt. DOJ is corrupt. I'm like, do it anyway. I want to watch it fail then. Do it anyway so I can watch it fail and talk about how bad it is. Trump says, fuck you. I am not a loser. I am not interested in losing. When I do it, it will be done right. It will be done according to the law. It will be done according to the book. And it will fucking stick when I do it. So, fuck your feelings. I've said all along. I'm really happy the people that are in charge of this are in charge of this because they don't make emotional decisions. If you decide you're going to step onto a battlefield and you're going to pick a fight with these people, which is exactly what he did when he came down that golden escalator back in 2015. I pick a fight with you. I'm going to fucking destroy you, or you're going to fucking destroy me. Let's get it on. You better, if you're going to do that, you better have the type of psychology. You do not make emotional decisions and you don't rush things and you do not move before everything is ready. Because the enemy is going to constantly try to provoke you into making very rash emotional decisions that will end up causing you to destroy yourself. They spent 10 years trying to provoke, trick, bamboozle, browbeat Trump into making that fatal mistake. We're 10 years into this, and he still hasn't done it. And he's now managed to position himself to where I guess you could call Comey the first big arrest if you want to. I happen to think the first big arrest was actually some guy most of you don't even remember, Charles McGonigal. Charles McGonigal. Look him up if you don't know who that is. That was the first big FBI arrest. Charles McGonigal. I mean, the people who actually pay attention, we knew that over a year ago. Charles McGonigal. Like most people are going to say, okay, James Comey, first big FBI arrest. It only took 8 years. And I understand some people are frustrated that it took 8 years to get here. Even though, like I've been saying for the last 30 minutes as I set this up, everybody knows Comey's been lying his ass off. Under oath, not under oath. He's been lying his ass off for 8 years now. But if you're going to take these people on now, these people have a lot of power. They don't have as much as they did 8 years ago. But they got a lot of power left. They've lost a significant amount of it, but they have power left. Yes, they have immense power and influence in all of our cultural institutions. They have power and influence in our Congress, our federal agencies, our courts, Many of our states are completely under the control of these people. See that Pritzker on my TV a minute ago, and that lady out there in Oregon. Okay, yeah, they hold a lot of the country. They still have a massive amount of influence. They don't have as much as they did 10 years ago, but they still have some. In some places, the amount of influence these people that Trump has been fighting, they have a very significant amount of influence still. If you come down a golden escalator and you make it clear, hey, I'm taking you on. I'm gonna take your system on. I'm gonna utterly fucking destroy it. I'm gonna bring the whole disease temple down on your heads. You better have a plan, and you better know what the fuck you are doing, and you better not be a person who's easily goaded into rash and emotional decisions. You better have the type of personality where you are fit for this type of fight, this type of war, mostly a silent war. You better have a certain type of psychological profile, all right? 99.9% of the people out there could not do what Trump and his team have been doing for the last 10 years. They are not mentally or psychologically equipped to have even attempted this because they're emotional. They allow their confirmation biases to rule their thinking. They can't break the programming. They can't break it. So why did it take 8 years when the guy's obviously out there lying all the time? When Trump fires him, and he does this memo shenanigans by leaking with his friend to the New York Times, and he comes in there and sits in front of Congress and blatantly lies about it. He's called back in again in 2020 to go over it again, and he lies again about all the leaks he was doing out of the FBI, authorizing out of the FBI. Why did it take 8 years? Well, like I said, every time I say this, I start saying this, it sets people off. The country wasn't ready 8 years ago to back Trump up when he does this. I know people tend to live in a bubble, not just the liberals. Some people on the right, people in MAGA, live in a bubble. I've been ready for 8 years to see Comey. I was ready in 2018 to see Comey and handcuffed. The entire country thinks the way I do. This could have happened 8 fucking years ago. Trump doesn't have any balls. He didn't have any balls. He's a pussy. Could have got this done 8 years ago. People will make these comments to me. And then a day or two later, I'll see them saying, wow, it's so sad how brainwashed most of this country is. It's really sad. Look how brainwashed all these fucking people are. But Trump could have done this 8 years ago. He's a pussy. He's got no balls. And I'm sitting over here like, oh, God. I can't even see it. I can't even see it. Trump's got no balls. Most of this country is brainwashed. Trump had to wait until enough of the country was awake and got behind him before he could start doing some of the amazing things he's been doing for the last 9 months. Would you agree with that? He had to wait for enough of the country to wake up. More people wake up every day. But you have to have a certain very high level of public support before you do some of this radical revolutionary shit now. I mean, it's really radical. You got to have enough of the public behind you. Not just so you can politically survive even talking about doing this and then actually doing it. You have to have enough public support so that it can succeed when you do it. The success is not a given. If you go early and you don't have enough support for this, you're really rolling the dice. This is what people were telling me back in 2018, 2019, 2020. Roll that dice, Trump. It's not even 50-50 that you'll succeed. It's more like 60-40 that you're going to fail and you're going to end up dead and MAGA's going to end up completely destroyed. Roll that fucking dice anyway. And Trump says, no, I don't think I will. I'm going to wait till it's more like 60-40. I will succeed before I roll it. As a matter of fact, I'll wait until it's 75-25 that I'll succeed before I roll. And maybe if he's really patient and he really has an unusual psychology, he'll wait until it's 85-15 that he'll roll the dice. He's got that support now. He had to have the support first. Then he had to have the right people in place. And some burn bags had to be discovered, but we'll get into that later. Burn bags found. Ooh, secret rooms. You know, the evidence. How do you introduce evidence into the record? Yeah, okay. We'll get into that later. Okay. He had to have enough public support to even think about trying to do this. He had to have it. Well, I don't give a shit. Should have done it 5-6 years ago. I don't give a shit about the amount of public support he had. He had the authority to do this 8 years ago. He's a pussy. Guy's got no balls. Roll those dice when it's 80-20. You're going to be fucking martyred. Okay, roll the dice now, damn it. Trump ain't interested in being your fucking martyr, all right? He's not. He has absolutely no interest in that. He has to have enough public support to do a lot of this stuff. Really radical revolutionary shit now. He's got to have his public, I don't mean the fake news polls, I mean the real public support. It's got to be almost 75 plus for him to move on some of this stuff. He's got to have the right people in place. The idea is not just to do it, it's to succeed when he does it. It's got to succeed. Just being able to give the fucking order, what good does that do if it's going to fail? Trump is not interested in failure. It does not interest him. He's interested in total and complete overwhelming victory and in bringing the whole disease temple down on their heads. That's what he wants. If he had to be patient and continue building his support and continue hiring out the deep state people and sticking his own people in there. He will move when he thinks the time is right, and it will succeed, and he will survive doing this. All the conditions have to be met first. Too fucking bad if you don't like it. All the conditions must be met. Enough popular support, the right people in the right positions, which means all the bad people are gone now. Enough of the bad, and not all of them, but enough of them. Enough of the bad people are gone now. Okay. And the third condition, it has a reasonable chance of success. Then it will happen. Not before. Well, we're in a national security crisis here. Yeah, no shit. You think, well, it's a national security crisis, so we need to go now, whether things are ready or not. No, that actually reinforces how you better not fuck this up. That reinforces it, being patient, because it's a national security crisis. It took 8 years to get here. Why? Why? It was always obvious. James Comey literally rubbed his face in it that he was lying. Well, the 3 points, enough public support, the right people in the right places, and enough of the bad guys moved the hell out of there. Not all of them, enough of them. And enough good people in there that you can now attempt this. And 3, a reasonable chance of success. All 3 conditions have to be met. Your emotions do not figure into this. Your timeline does not figure into this. This is what so many of those social media influencers that everybody's so enamored of over the last couple of years. This is where they get it wrong. Oh, there's no reason Trump can't do this right now. He's back. Why didn't he indict James Comey? Why right after he got done being sworn in? Okay. Why didn't he, the moment after Pam Bondi was sworn in as Attorney General, send her a message, go arrest James Comey right now? Why didn't he do that last March? Why? Well, what are the 3 conditions? Enough public support? The right people in the right places? I mean, you know how many people have left the DOJ and the FBI, have been fired or they resigned in the last 8 or 9 months? A couple hundred. All 3 conditions have to be met. Enough public support, enough of the bad guys moved out and good people moved in, and had a reasonable chance of success. And success is defined as Donald Trump survives doing this. I mean, can you imagine if during the first term he turns right after he's inaugurated, he turns to Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, the Bushes, the Bidens are all sitting there. Hey, I'm going to destroy the CIA. I'm gonna abolish the Department of Education. I'm bringing back. I'm going to do a complete trade reset, and we're going to start funding the government on tariffs. I'm getting rid of income taxes and property taxes. I'm going straight to the U.S. Treasury and start getting control of the payment system there. If Trump had tried that in 2017, I don't think he survives to make it to 2018. Sorry. But he's the president. He has all this authority. He has all this power at his fingertips. Oh, sure he did. Yes. Okay, fine. Keep telling yourself that. As president in that first term, Trump had complete and total power over the entire federal government. Bullshit. He did not have total control of anything. He still doesn't. He still doesn't have total control of the federal government right now. But he has a hell of a lot more than he had in that first term. So he can do things now that he couldn't do in that first term. So James Comey is obviously lying for 8 years. Obviously. I mean, when you sit in front of a congressional panel on live TV and says, "Yeah, I took 7 memos with me," and okay, fine. 4 of them turned out to be classified, and I gave 4 memos to my friend outside of a SIF, and maybe I exposed classified information. Yeah, I mean, she just literally sits there and admits under oath he exposed classified information to pay back a president that fired him. He does it on live TV. It takes 8 years to start charging this guy for the leaking he did. Okay, now let's get into this issue. Well, this is just a perjury and obstruction charge. Yes, I'm aware of that. He's only charged for the perjury, making a false statement to members of Congress about the leaking campaign he was orchestrating from out of the FBI. Back from 2015, even before 2015, after he had people leaking for him. The leak campaign that he was leading. He's only been charged for making a false statement about the leaking campaign. Okay. And I've been saying this ever since the indictment was unsealed. If you think he's going to be charged for lying about what is in effect a criminal conspiracy to leak classified information to the press from out of the FBI, you think that this is going to stop that Comey being indicted for committing perjury about the classified leaking? You don't understand how anything works. Don't look up what a superseding indictment is. You literally cannot. What is the motive for lying about the leaking campaign? What's Comey's motive to lie about it? Well, that's a good question. We're doing this. I don't know where he is. Give me a second. Okay, yeah, in case you got trolls in there, I can't do anything about it. Say somebody's doing something. Okay, but yeah, he's usually here and he's not today, so he might have some things going on. Okay. You can't charge a guy for lying about a criminal conspiracy without charging him for the criminal conspiracy. You understand that? Okay. Well, so the idea is, well, they're not starting with anything here. They're not starting with the perjury obstruction charge. This is it. This is all we're going to get. I watch Talking Heads on my TV. You've been saying this for going on 4 days now. Oh, they're just gonna charge him for this and then gonna walk and get a slap on the wrist. No, they had to do that because the deadline was there. The deadline had arrived. Assuming Comey hadn't done anything else to further that conspiracy, which I I argue that he's done plenty over the last 5 years to further the conspiracy. But some people that are endlessly arguing, they created the public perception. If you don't charge this guy for the perjury right now before Tuesday, tomorrow, then you can't charge him for it. So they swapped out Siebert for Halligan, and we got the indictment. And it's clear, if you know your Spygate stuff, Comey's motive for lying about the leaking campaign he was orchestrating to target innocent Americans for counterintelligence investigations from out of the FBI. His motive for lying about that is because he's a huge fucking crook who was part of a criminal conspiracy to target innocent Americans for investigations using strategic leaking campaigns. And he's the wingmaster behind the scenes. He's sending out Rybicki. He's sending out James Baker. He's sending out the Lovebirds, Duck and Page. He's sending them out to do leaks for him, for the FBI, to target people like Donald Trump, General Michael Flynn, Donald Trump Jr., George Papadopoulos, Cody Page. He's engaging in an organized campaign of leaks that were targeting people who were innocent to drive and build public support for investigating these people. I want to build public support for an investigation into Donald Trump for being a Russian asset, for being colluding with the Russians. Hey, Jim Baker, come here. Yeah, leak this to the New York Times for me. I want to build a case to justify, if it ever comes out, a FISA warrant on Cody Page using that fake as fuck still dossier. Hey, Peter and Lisa, leak this to the Guardian for me. Okay. Hey, James Rybicki, get in here. I want to leak this story about George Papadopoulos to the Washington Post. Can you handle that for me? You see, you got to go back. You got to go back mentally to 2015, 2016, 2017. You got to put yourself back in that space. Not everybody can do it. I can do it. The witch was supposed to win. The country, a large part of the country, was incredibly shocked when she didn't win. They were shocked to their core. Was this possible? Did this possibly happen? Well, Hillary Clinton and her minions came out and said, well, we were warning you that Donald Trump is a Russian asset. That's how he managed to steal this election from Hillary Clinton. And you already have an FBI that's compromised because they've accepted the Steele dossier, from multiple sources. I'm sure they got it directly from Christopher Steele, who was their CHS. There's always been this weird fucking story that James Comey got a personal copy of the Steele dossier from John McCain. David Kramer goes to the UK. He's at some event. He meets Dearlove and Richard Dear, the MI6 guys, and they tell him about Christopher Steele. He gets a copy of the dossier, and Kramer passes that on to McCain, and McCain takes it and hand delivers it to James Comey at the FBI. Look! That probably happened. Yeah. That the FBI already had the fucking dossier by then. You know that? Who's their fucking CHF? Who is their confidential human source they've been paying? Who is it? It's Christopher Steele. They already have the doc. They didn't need McCain to come bring it to them. But look, this whole fake as fuck dirty trick operation out of the Clinton campaign, it would help if we found out what name it was that they named their dirty trick campaign. I'm sure they had some sort of code name for it. The FBI puts code names on everything. Arctic Frost, Crossfire Hurricane, Crossfire Razor, Arctic Haze, whatever the fuck. I'm sure the Clinton campaign operatives in their emails and shit, they had some code name for their Trump-Russia collusion hoax creation scheme, the dirty truck operation. They had some sort of code name for it. Okay. And the FBI is aware of this, since June and July, even July, but certainly by August, because of Brennan's briefing at the White House, they're aware that the Clinton campaign is going to be rolling out certain hoaxes. They took one of the hoaxes. Well, they took them both out. They accepted the Alpha Bank hoax didn't go anywhere. Okay, they closed that down after a couple of weeks. But the Still dossier hoax, they took that. They based a federal counterintelligence surveillance warrant on it. Okay, they based that. A lot of the evidence against Carter Page came from the Steele dossier warrant and its sources. People like Christopher Steele, Igor Danchenko, longtime Clinton family guru Charles Chuck Dolan, people like that. Okay, and they have it. They use these allegations in a surveillance warrant, so they can spy, knowing where it came from now, knowing who paid for it. They're using it in a counterintelligence surveillance warrant, and they're using it to spy on the Trump campaign from late October through November, and then they continue during the transition into December and January. They continue the surveillance. And after the witch lost that election, that baby eating witch, that Luciferian witch lost that election, a sizable chunk of the American public needs an explanation as to how this could possibly happen. The media is on her side. Academia is on her side. All the cultural institutions are on her side. How could she possibly lose to that golden-haired son of a bitch? How is it possible? And they needed an explanation as to how this could possibly happen. And they were given an explanation. And it wasn't just Hillary and her team coming out there publicly explaining their loss by saying the Russians influenced our election. They stole the election. Stole the election from me. They stole the election for Donald Trump. It wasn't just Hillary and her team out there saying that now. And okay, you had people inside the FBI linking to the news media, linking stories leaking stories to the news media, targeting certain people. Those credible counterintelligence evidence now. Very credible intelligence evidence that Donald Trump is a Russian asset. And that's how he managed to win this last election. What do you call it when you're an FBI director and you're part of a cult, you're part of an evil Latin corrupt system, supposedly. And you take this fake shit, paid political opposition research that you know is bullshit. You took that from a Clinton campaign operative and you classified it. You got it placed under seal by putting it in a federal counterintelligence surveillance warrant, and you submitted it to the FISA court, who sealed it by approving it. They sealed it and they classified it. That this is supposedly now, this is real counterintelligence evidence being used in an ongoing counterintelligence case of the highest importance. You classified that. You got it sealed, claiming that you have good, solid evidence that Donald Trump is a Russian asset. And you're investigating this now based on this warrant. What do you call it when you turn around? This shit you just classified. This shit you just got sealed. What do you call that when you turn around and you begin orchestrating a leaking campaign in the press to target people named in that warrant for being Russian assets? What do you call that? You took fake shit, you sealed, classified it, and then you began leaking your counterintelligence evidence to the New York Times and the Washington Post and CNN and NBC. What are you telling? And when this all comes out, what are people who are rational, what are they going to realize when they see what you did? You're a fucking crook. They're gonna see you're a fucking crook, and you never should have had that job. You never should have. If you were willing to do that, you never should have had that job. I'll take paid opposition research from political campaign targeting the other political campaign, even though I know it's bullshit. I'll allow it to be put in a federal surveillance warrant. It's approved. It's now the basis of our counterintelligence investigation of the Trump campaign, and we're spying on all their electronic comms. We're unmasking all their electronic comms and placing them in reports and circulating them at the highest levels of the outgoing Obama administration now during the transition. I'm doing all of that. Plus, I'm taking that same evidence and I'm leaking it to the press to drive and build public support for the idea, for the narrative. Yes, this is where I'm going with this. James Comey orchestrating a leaking campaign to build public support for the narrative. Donald Trump only won that election because the Russians interfered in our elections on his behalf. And this needs to be seriously investigated. And when my leaking campaign doesn't work, and Trump wins anyway, and I continue my leaking campaign and I step it up, even as I'm giving him a series of fake briefings I'm hiding shit from him, and I'm targeting him for the continuing investigation while he's now the president from January to May 2017, and then he fires my ass for everything I was doing. I'm a noble public servant just looking out for the Republic. Oh, sure you are, buddy. But what was the leaking campaign all about? It was to build public support for the narrative. These people need to be investigated. Yeah. Yeah, it's gotta be true. There's no way that witch loses an honest election. There's no way Taylor loses. The Russians must have done something. The Russians must have done something. Hell yes, we want a special counsel. Every single one of these people need to be investigated. Investigate Trump, Don Jr., Jared Kushner, Ivanka, Jeff Sessions, General Michael Flynn, George Papadopoulos, Cody Page. Investigate them all! The Russians, we're in a terrible position now because the Russian asset is in the White House. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with James Comey having a really compelling reason to commit perjury when he's asked about the leaking campaign he was orchestrating at the FBI. I don't think I'm going out on a limb here, right? Yeah, very good and compelling reason to lie about the leaking campaign he was orchestrating at the FBI. He did. You can't charge him for the lying without charging him for the conspiracy that he was lying about. That's why I'm 100% confident you will see a superseding indictment when the time is right for it to happen. It will happen. Now, for the second hour of this broadcast, I want to get into a different area here. I got the screens. I set it up to be sure. Yeah, I clicked off of it. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, the second part, I want to get off of Comey a little bit. I'm going to the Substack article that I wrote 4 days ago. I wanted to read this out the other day, and I never got to it. Given what's going on in Portland right now, in Chicago, that very annoying Oregon governor, Kotek, I think her name is, and it's interesting what Elon Musk did to the X.com algorithm, because all of a sudden I'm seeing countless tweets from Newsom and Newsom's press office and J.B. Pritzker and this Kotek chick in Oregon. All of a sudden I'm seeing a lot of their stuff in my feed. I'm having to, mute it all. But people have kind of started to notice that this isn't their daddy's Democratic Party any longer. And that's true. Well, before I read that out, it's actually better if I go to a different one. Give me a second. Find that post I did earlier. Because the Kotek chick came across my feed, and I made a comment. Where we're at now, this started with Obama. Obama came out and talked about, he sat there, I think I said, with his legs crossed like a girl. Okay, yeah, this is just okay. This is the post right here. Let me make sure. Okay, I just found out my brother's in the ER. Okay, he's bleeding again from the lower intestine. So he's in the ER. He's gonna monitor me from there. So yeah, okay. Just found out he's back in the ER. Maybe remember that's why last October I moved him here to Florida because he had a medical episode. And I hope so now he's aware that the problem is. I'm sure they caught this pretty fast. So because he's fine, they're monitoring him. He's getting care and everything. So prayers up for my brother, please. I'm gonna pray real quick. Lord Jesus, I just lift up Dwayne to you. And he has that bleeding problem again that he had last October. They managed to fix that without any surgery last time. They just managed to treat him enough so it healed on its own. I pray they're able to do that again, and that he gets the best of care, he gets the accurate diagnosis, and that this problem goes away very quickly, and that he is returned to health in Jesus' name. Amen. Um, well, so now we know why Dwayne is not here. Why he's not monitoring my chat today. That's a hell of a way to find out. Um, so anyway, yeah, just diving back into this. I'm sure he's gonna be fine. This is a Tina Kotek. This was a tweet I saw this morning from Governor Tina Kotek of Oregon. In my conversations directly with President Trump and Secretary Norm, I have been abundantly clear that Portland and the state of Oregon believe in the rule of law and can manage our own local public safety needs. There is no insurrection. And a headline, she quoted a headline from the Associated Press. Oregon governor says Trump is abusing his authority by ordering troops to Portland. So this is how I responded to that. And it ties in directly to that column I'm about to read you in a minute from 4 days ago. Note the carefully worded phrasing, our local public safety needs. She and other Oregon Democrats who've been winning rigged and fake and gay elections for years in that state have not only been allowing federal agents and buildings to be besieged and attacked when federal laws they don't like are being enforced, they are now loudly and proudly encouraging these mobs of protesters to assault federal officers and buildings while our federal people are doing their jobs. So here's my response to Tina Kotek. No mercy, no sympathy, no retreat. Every single person who tries to prohibit the enforcement of federal law enforcement goes straight to jail. Every last one. Now they started showing you during the Obama years, 2009 to late 2017. They started showing you under Obama what their end game was. When Obama would sit there, that gay faggot, with his legs crossed like a girl, and bobo very openly about how he was deliberately not enforcing federal laws he didn't like. And now this is what that has led us to. Nobody pushed back on Obama's bony ass. The country did not push back. Only a certain small segment of the conservative community pushed back on that at the time, and it wasn't enough. So Obama managed to actually get away with burbling about that and doing it for 8 years, and that's why we're where we are now with this Democratic Party. Nobody shouted down that gay faggot and told him to STFU and do his fucking job and see the laws passed by lawmakers are faithfully executed. People allowed our former Muslim Brotherhood president to not only do that, but expand it over his 8 years in the White House. He would come out and deliberately openly talk about the laws he wasn't going to enforce. And he got away with doing that. Now, you have Democratic governors of entire states deliberately allowing organized violent rioting mobs to assault federal officers and attack federal buildings who are enforcing federal laws in their states that they don't like. It ends now, and it is going to end under Donald Trump. So, having read that out, let's go back to the column, because this is what they've been doing now. They've dropped the mask. Obama was like the pioneer for this, the test case. Let's see how far I can get with this. That the reason they created the persona for Obama, the smartest, urban, sophisticated man in the room, which was always a fucking joke. Guy's a literal moron. And even today, people try to present Obama as being some kind of super genius. Okay? An evil super genius. The guy is I've been telling people this ever since I became aware of him in 2007. That's like going on 18 years now. I've been telling people this guy is a fucking moron, all right? And I get pushback whenever I do that. I get pushback. Who's smart? He didn't look at how effective he was. It wasn't him. Okay, let me show you something. Barack Obama, Valerie Jarrett. Here's how this illusion was created that Obama is some kind of fucking super genius. Here's how they created it. Here's the person who played the biggest role in creating that illusion that Obama's a fucking genius. The Iranian lady that looks like a monkey. I can say this because I'm not Roseanne Barr. I'm not on ABC TV. I don't have the #1 show in America, and they can't fire my ass for saying it. Obama is a handled asset. He's carefully stage managed. His whole presidency was like this, especially since he left the presidency. Very carefully stage managed by certain people. See, most of all. From Iran. CIA. Muslim Brotherhood. But we won't get into any of that, okay? We'll just say, okay, look, he's a carefully created fiction, an asset put into the White House, created by some people. CIA, Muslim Brotherhood, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And this persona was created for this guy that he's a fucking genius. All right. He's really smart now. He's an evil genius. Let me tell you why I never bought into any of that. Really briefly before I get back into the column. I'm telling you why I never bought in. Okay, you learn to observe body language and people's thought processes when they're not reading a fucking speech somebody else wrote for them. You learn to observe people. I observed people as a deaf person even before I knew what I was doing, learning body language. You want to see the real Obama? Watch him speak extemporaneously without any notes. Watch how his thought processes work. Watch how often he loses his train of thought. Watch how often he uses pausers. What do I call it with the pauser? In a way, Kamala Harris is like the super Obama off script. But she can't even follow a script. Okay, maybe that's a bad example. Obama uses pauses completely a lot when he's speaking off the cuff. It got to be a running joke. If you were watching this guy back in 2009, giving the first couple of big speeches, they worked with him hard on this, okay? Trying to speak extemporaneously, he would lose his train of thought. He would have to stop and actually think. While he's trying to form his next thought and remember what he was talking about. Now I have to say something egotistical. Some of you aren't gonna like it. Okay. But it's true. I guess I'm tired of hiding it. I'm very highly intelligent. I am. Highly intelligent people can spot other highly intelligent people. And some people were noticing a long time ago that Obama wasn't what he was being sold to the American public as being the smartest man in the room. He was always a stage managed puppet. If he had to go out there and speak without somebody whispering in his ear, without a prepared speech written by somebody else, I could instantly see that this guy was a CIA Mockingbird media creation. There was a very carefully created backstory about this guy. It wasn't true. And he's the one, when they decided that they were ready to take this next step in preparing the country, for their next gambit to take more control, seize more control, actually. We've got to get the public ready for national leaders and state leaders, both national and state level, for leaders who don't enforce certain laws, completely ignore them, and make it obvious they're ignoring them and not enforcing them. We've got to condition the public to go along with this. So they sent Barack Obama out there. To be the pioneer for this agenda. We're going to condition the public to get ready for the fact that they send lawmakers Okay, they send lawmakers to Congress to pass laws, but our agenda for taking over America and increasing, well, we already took it over basically, but our agenda to continue to increase our control of America and America's institutions. We cannot let it be hampered because the dumb fucking voters out there get enough lawmakers into office who pass laws that get in the way of our agenda for the country. We cannot allow this. They send people to Congress. Congress passes federal laws that we don't like. Great. We'll send out a president that will just start forthrightly telling the country, I don't care if Congress passed that law. I'm not going to enforce it. They started this with Obama. Obama was the pioneer for what you are seeing today with J.B. Pritzker and Gavin Newsom and this lady Tina Kotek out there in Oregon. He was the pioneer to try to get most of the country to accept this. If you have a president or a governor, well, I don't care if that's the federal law. We're not going to enforce that law on my watch. I will not allow it. Obama was the guy. Obama was the guy. And so here we are. And now they are at the point they literally, the Democratic Party now, mostly this is the Democratic Party. This the uniparty, right? I'm just talking specifically about the Democratic wing of that uniparty right now. The right wing's got its own bad shit it's doing. Okay, that's a subject for a different broadcast on a different time. I'm focusing now on the Democratic wing of the uniparty. And the Democratic wing of the uniparty leadership dropped its mask some time ago, around 2020. Okay, and more voters see every day what that vile party has become, a literal terrorist group that can't stop, won't stop, inciting violence against federal agents. And I made this handy meme the other day. That's my meme there. I decided I don't really care who gets credit. I don't mind if anybody steals it. I stopped putting my watermark and my signature on everything. But that's my meme right there. That's Dime Store Obama, Gavin Newsom, Tim Walz, and Representative Dan Goldman. Pixie there. And they've all continued to say the same vile shit they were saying before Charlie Kirk was murdered. They're all saying the same shit they were saying before that. Our incitement of attacks against law enforcement will continue until you submit and give in to our demands. So this is literally now, and I mean, this is wonderful. Everybody can see this. This is the terrorist party of America. I wrote this Thursday morning. I started writing this column. I just happened to be sitting there doing something, writing something, post on X. I looked over, and there was Tom Homan on my TV. Now watch what he was saying. There wasn't Faith and Nathan. He was on Fox News. This is just the best screenshot I found of him to put in my column. He was on Fox News. He's literally begging these governors to stop inciting violence against federal officers and these assholes in Congress and former presidents. Please stop inciting violence. Imploring them to please stop that angry, violent rhetoric directed at our ICE agents doing their jobs, enforcing federal immigration laws. But he had the same look on his face, Homan did. That's why I used that screenshot. Begging these guys, stop! Stop inciting attacks on our federal law officers. I can't tell you how angry it makes me we've ended up here. How has it come to this? How has it come to this? We're here. We are where we have arrived at. So take a big step back. Don't get trapped in the recent news cycle. Step back, go up 40,000 feet and look down. Why is it so very, very important to the people who fomented a mass migration of over 20 million illegals into the United States just during the Biden years? Why is it so important to them that our immigration laws not be enforced? Why are they willing to go to insane lengths to ensure our federal immigration laws, passed by our lawmakers now, passed by our lawmakers in Congress? Why are they willing to literally incite rebellion against the federal government, keep those immigration laws from being enforced? They spent 3 years of Biden's one term stridently insisting the border was fine. There was no mass migration going on. That's just a tinfoil hat, right-wing news talking point. They said this for 3 years until it reached such absurdity. They finally admitted in the last year now, that last year of the Biden administration, they finally admitted the mass migration was happening. And they blamed Trump for it. This is the look that Alejandro Mayorkas, he would literally put this look on his face while answering questions for 3 years now. The first 3 years, he was called into Congress several times to explain himself. As head of the Department of Homeland Security, why are you allowing this to happen? Why is the border open? Why do we have these millions and millions of unverified, undocumented, unchecked out illegals just being allowed to stream into our country? He would put this look on his face. He just said, border problem? What border problem? Everything's fine. I don't understand why you keep saying the border is open. It's not true. 3 years he said this. And then finally, in the last year, his talking point became, well, okay, we have a problem at the border now, but it's Trump's fault. I've talked many times about, well, recently, I've talked about how Luciferians they really enjoy fucking with you. They enjoy it. They get off on it. They get an emotional thrill out of gaslighting you. They really enjoy it now. It makes their spirits sing to gaslight someone. Their native language, the more they allow themselves to be pulled day by day into the dark, further and further into the dark, their native language becomes gaslighting you. They love the darkness. They love gaslighting you. get a psychic thrill from lying to you. So why you're asking now? This is the $56,000 question. Why can't these evil people tone down their violence inciting rhetoric? Well, they love the dark. They they love the dark. Why would they stop doing what they love? Why would they stop it? That's one of the reasons they're not stopping. They keep right on saying the same vile shit every day. Stephen Miller is a fascist. Somebody shoot that guy. Why? Why do they keep doing it? Well, why are they so determined? Why? What you're really asking is this question: why are they so determined not to tone down their rhetoric? Why do they keep inciting attacks on federal law enforcement officers, especially those who are trying to enforce our immigration laws? Here's the question you're really asking when you ask that. Why are they so determined to hang on to their new slave class? Now, you may not have been aware of that, but that's the question you're really asking. Why are they so determined to hang on to their new slave class? Well, I'll tell you why. Their old slave class woke up and has abandoned them and is joining their mortal enemy, Donald J. Trump, in making America great again. The biggest reason they need a replacement migration, it's not just, there's multiple reasons they need a mass migration. To keep the same number of half seats in the House so they don't lose seats in the new census and any census reapportionment. They cannot afford to lose 15 to 18 seats. That cannot happen. That must not happen. So, not only do illegals need to be counted in the census, any new census, they must have these illegals still here. Or they're gonna lose 15, maybe more than 15 half seats. They already can't maintain control at the level they're at. If they lose another couple million, 5-10 million illegals get sent out of here, they lose too many House seats. So some of this is political. Yeah, to keep power in Washington, D.C. But here's the other thing you got to look at. When I call it the new slave class, I'm not joking. There's a financial side to this. There's a business side to this. They have literally, you're seeing this in the trucking industry. They have literally been replacing American citizens here, American workers, with far cheaper foreign workers. Yeah, that's been going. Did you know that? Yeah, that's been going on. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say they're bringing in a new slave class. I'm not being hyperbolic. They deliberately planned to bring millions of these people in and use hundreds of millions of our tax dollars to support them while setting them up and paying them literal slave wages out of their own pocket now. If they have to do that out of their own pocket. You understand? Okay, let me back up here. There is a sizable group of American businesses in this country that do not want to pay American workers American wages. I think we can all agree on that. If they had an avenue where they could get far cheaper foreign labor, they would jump at it. Well, guess what? They fucking did. They did. It's not just politics driving this. There's those big money these American businesses are saving by bringing in, while they ignore and fire and get rid of millions of American workers. They've been bringing in a new slave class that's going to work for slave wages. They're paying these new people who are just happy to be here far less than they would pay an American worker. And the best thing about this, these American businesses don't have to spend any of their own money getting these people here. Our government has been paying for that. Our treasury was being massively looted to pay for this. All those hundreds of billions of dollars shipped out to the mass migration NGOs and Catholic charities out there to foment and bring about and enable this mass migration into our country so they can literally replace American workers with far cheaper foreign workers, many of whom are illegal. People make the mistake of thinking this is just political. It's not. Follow the money. Follow the money. No, so many illegal people who can't even read and write fucking English or speak it, driving big semi-trailer trucks on America's roads now. They are regularly causing fatal accidents. How do you think we ended up in this situation? Because American trucking businesses, a couple of years ago, you know what? It will be eminently more profitable for us if we ditch a couple 100,000 American truckers and we bring in these illegals and have them drive our trucks for us for literally half the wages an American trucker would cost us. Now take that and expand it by about 24 other industries, and you start to understand why somebody, they did this on purpose now. This was a strategy. They planned this out decades ago. This is why Gavin Newsom, governor of California, and Karen Bass, governor, mayor of LA, have literally been backed into a corner. What have they been forced to admit recently? That so many American workers are out of work. So many of our industries in our state and our city are dependent on cheap, illegal foreign labor. If you suddenly remove all these people, our economy is gonna fucking collapse. Yes, they're being forced to admit this. You can't take these illegals. You can't do it. Our economy will collapse. Our business will go out of business. All of these fucking businesses have been hiring hundreds and hundreds of illegals. If they suddenly had to switch American workers, they have to pay 2 or 3 times what they're paying these illegals. They'll end up going out of business. Our economy, our local economy will collapse. You can't do this to us. Oh, yes, we can. So, here's a Trump rally. Here's a Harris rally. Here's blacks for Trump. Here's Latinos for Trump. Oh yeah. It's a replacement migration, all right. Just not how or for the reason some people think it is. That this is all about holding on to house seats. Oh, it goes far beyond that. Yes, that is a big reason they want it, but that's not the only reason they've been doing a replacement migration. You understand? So, most of the old slave class no longer votes for them and no longer works for them at their businesses either. So even though our elections are fake, they need enough of a base of support to pull off the illusion of still being a national party, a popular national party. They need to maintain the illusion that they have enough popular support. So they need these illegals for the hot seats and the political spirit. Yes, they need them. They need them a lot. So they have got to have these illegals here. They will lose far too many House seats if even half of them end up leaving one way or another, whether they self-deploy or they're forced to go. Just in the political understanding, yes, they will cease to be a national political party if too many of these illegals are forced to leave our country. So their survival as a national party depends on these illegals being here in sufficient numbers. And not only, and now, like this is what they did. Now they did this to themselves on purpose. Not only is their survival as a national party depending on these illegals being here in sufficient numbers. Oh, think of how many poor Democrats out there are facing their business literally going out of business if they're forced to hire American workers and they lose all of their foreign workers. It's political, but it's financial also. You can end up seeing thousands and thousands of American businesses go under when they can't hire. They lose the foreign workers that they have already, and they're forced to hire Americans, and they can't do it, and they go under. Political, financial. You got to understand it's both. And so these desperate people are now at the point they're deliberately encouraging violence against federal agents in an attempt to halt law enforcement securing our borders and our national security by making all these people who are here illegally leave our country. Now, transparently telling us the rhetoric and the attacks, the rhetoric that is promoting these attacks, it will stop only if Trump and ICE stop trying to enforce the borders and immigration laws. It's a negotiation, you see. They're negotiating with it. Now, if you're noticing this is how terrorists negotiate, trust me on this. You are not alone. Because that is how terrorists negotiate. Do this, do what we demand, and we'll go away. We'll stop. Just give us what we want, and we'll stop. So this is how terrorist organizations negotiate. Our attacks will stop if you do what we're telling you to do. Understand? So A national party has dropped its mask and is revealing to the rest of us that it is so desperate to hang on to power and the implementation of its insane agenda for which there is no real organic support in this country, it will literally resort to organized terroristic negotiation like this. And this is beyond the pale. This is crossing the line, crossing the Rubicon, whatever your favorite phrase is to describe this type of thing. Because there's no mulligan on this. This is not a fucking game of golf. They can't say at this point, oh, sorry, we retreat. We'll stop the terroristic negotiation with you and call off our dogs of war, our bouncers. We didn't really mean to do that. The fuck you didn't mean to do that. We all heard you loud and clear. So we're done trying. See, this is where we were always going to end up here. They dropped the mask. They're very transparently now saying, do this or the attacks and the rioting and the violence will continue. Stop trying to enforce the law and we'll stop our rhetoric and we'll call off our Antifa bouncers. You do that, we'll call them off. Okay? So we're done trying to negotiate with a national party that would cross this line. See, so here's what you have to understand what comes to what Trump is doing. Very politely on the surface, Trump and these governors like Pritzker and Newsom and Kotek are having a dialogue about Trump sending in the fucking troops and taking control back from them. That's the surface. Look under the surface. He's taking control from a bunch of fucking terrorist fanatics. He's taking control away from them. They dared to do this. They took that step. They crossed that Rubicon. And they can't say, oh no, can I have a mulligan? I didn't really mean to do that. I'm sorry. I'll put the mask back on. Let's pretend that we didn't actually do that. That we were encouraging violence and unleashing literal black-clad, masked up brown shirts on federal buildings and federal agents. Let's pretend we weren't doing that. Well, no, we're not going to pretend shit. You did do that. You have been doing that. You've been doing that for years. Trump is done fucking around with you people. So yes, on the surface, he'll let you babble your shit about our public safety needs are fine. We don't need federal troops here. Trump doesn't give a shit. He's sending them in anyway. You can't stop him. And you deserve everything that's about to happen to you because you even thought about trying this shit. You can't negotiate with public servants who literally engage in terrorist negotiations with the federal government. The attacks will stop if your federal agents go away and stop trying to enforce the law. Trump goes, I have a better idea. How about I fucking destroy you? You can see him positioning the forces for this. They'll continue babbling, holding press conferences like this Kotek chick that was just on my TV a minute ago, babbling their inane shit about how these federal troops are not. Look, bitch. You and Democrats like you in Oregon have facilitated assault on federal agents and buildings for years. Playtime's over. Keep babbling, keep talking. It doesn't fucking matter. Here it comes, the pen. Now, here's Cromwell dissolving Parliament. I don't know if you can hear this, but this is from a 1970s film. I'll turn it up. Hopefully you can hear it. 1970.
Much has been said in this House about the so-called iniquity of certain members being financially involved in national projects. Members have ascribed to this state of affairs dark and sinister motives. I say if we in Parliament cannot gain from ruling the country, there's really very little point in our being here at all.
That this House be given power to remain in office a further 3 years without re-election.
The financial involvement.
It is 6 years since I handed over to you this great responsibility, in the hope that you would make good and wholesome laws which the people of this nation expected of you. I must confess to some abatement of my hopes. For what has happened in my absence? Instead of uniting the good people of this nation with righteousness and peace, which would have been a glorious and Christian thing to have done, what do I find? Anarchy, corruption, division, and dissatisfaction. I say that the enemies of this nation have flourished under your protection. You were from the beginning a provisional government not truly representative of the people. But have the people elected you? Has this House gone once to the people it purports to represent? No, it has not. And after 6 years of misgovernment, what do we find? Sir Thomas Fairfax moves a bill to give this House a further lease of its worthless and dishonorable life. Gentlemen, an immovable Parliament is more obnoxious than an immovable king. The drunkards, tricksters, villains, whoremasters, godless, self-seeking, and vindictive tricksters. You are no more capable of conducting the affairs of this nation than you are of running a brothel. You are a scum, sir, and a truly elected scum of that. This is no Parliament. I shall put an end to your sitting. I hereby declare this Parliament dissolved.
Okay, yeah, I see the trolls in the comments. My brother's not here to take care of that. So yeah, this guys get to play around a little bit this time. Enjoy it while it lasts. You're watching the Democratic Party die because it deserves to die. They're literally engaging in terroristic negotiations with Donald Trump right now. They could stop the crime in their cities at any time. They could begin enforcing the law. They could begin locking up the criminals. They don't want to. They could have stopped the flow of drugs into their cities at any time. Stop the addicts literally having seizures on their sidewalks. I don't want to. But it's interesting that the one issue that literally got these people to finally drop that mask and come out and say, we'll burn our fucking city down before we'll let you remove these illegals. Okay. We'll allow federal offices to be attacked. We'll allow federal buildings to be vandalized. We'll allow this until you give us what we want. You better back off. You better back off right this minute. You better back off and stop trying to enforce the laws passed by the lawmakers. We don't like those laws. We don't think they should be enforced. So we're not going to allow them to be enforced here. Now, the protests, they can riot as much as they want. They can besiege these federal facilities. They can assault these federal offices. I don't give a shit. You shouldn't be even trying to enforce those laws in my state in the first place. Okay? Don't feel sorry for these people. They're about to get exactly what they deserve. It's gonna be biblical. So thank you for watching and making me a part of your Monday morning into your afternoon, all 2012 of you. I'll be back on Wednesday, and hopefully my brother will be back and monitoring my chat. Okay. And I'll see you then. God bless and have a great week in America's new golden age where motherfuckers like Obama don't get to pick and choose which laws to enforce and which laws to ignore.